I grew up in Takrady. That's where the whole life story started from. It wasn't easy though, but I'm going to share everything out so that people also get inspired and they will know where and when to start and where you can get to. I started from Azim Road Primary in Takrady, where I completed my early school from, and also went to junior high school from there, and then I went to Adiama Senior High School. And when I started from my primary, things were quite difficult. It wasn't easy, but we always push forward. We always try to make it work. The time I started, I was staying with my in-law, my elder sister's husband, who was a carpenter. And then at that time, things were difficult. So he was the one who was helping me out in some things. I grew up in a barracks, and we all know how our parents, soldiers' parents are. My dad was very strict on me, because their main focus is that they have to push their case to become who they want them to be. But just I was very stubborn. Most of the things that he normally tells me, I don't listen to it. And then in school, if there is any problem, any fight, then it's for me, because I will listen to you. So I always end up going through punishment and all those things. But there was one thing about me. My academic level, I was very brilliant. All my score was excellent throughout, but all those stubborn aspect of me and then not listening to advice from my father didn't change me, and it didn't affect my academics. And then when I was staying with my brother-in-law, that was where the whole story started from. He was a little bit strict. He is a carpenter, and then I love to learn things, so I decided to go and stay with him so that I can learn carpentry. My family, we are 9 in number, and then 5 guys, 4 ladies. And then just only my father was the one who was the breadwinner of the house. And then he's the one, the salary that was coming out at that time wasn't much enough to take care of all of us. So we have to struggle for ourselves, because he has to pay for our school fees and all those things, and we all have to feel for him. So if you get a chance, you have to try and do something. And then, so I decided to go and live with my brother-in-law, that he is a carpenter, so at least he can also support me in some ways. I was in primary school, and I was around 7 that side. I can't really recall the year, but it was a very early age. But I grew up like I'm somebody who loved learning new things, like trying to do something. So that's why I decided to go and stay with him and do carpentry. So he decided to teach me. He was also trying to help me to also pay school fees and my feeding fee. But just that he was very strict, like very, very strict. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. To the point that that straightness got to the level that it wasn't supposed to. That even the pomade and the soaps and everything that he's using, he has made a small cabin in his room that everything is locked in there. You know, Hamatan seasons, you take your shower and then your body will start turning to white. And there was no means for me to afford even a crib, because I was just very young. And then immediately my family also realized I'm staying with my brother-in-law. They also shifted all the attention to my other siblings. So I wake up in the morning, take my shower before I go to school. The best option for me is to use brick fluid as pomade. It wasn't easy. So when I pass somebody, the person would just look at me and be like, this guy, is he a mechanic or what? Like, it was very, very sad. Every Saturday, by the time the week will end, he would take a lot of jobs, sometimes making a window sieve, sometimes doing ceiling. And then he would take me there, tell me, Solomon, this is what I want you to do. So finish it. This is the amount I've charged. When you come back, give me the money. So immediately I get home from doing that job, he would just take all the money from me because he thinks he's the one buying me food. So, but when it comes to other things like pomade, soap, and all those things, it wasn't part of his business. So things were very difficult, but I didn't give up. I was having it in mind that I really have to continue school and then make it work because I know one day things will change. So I continued from there, and all my grades were excellent because I was born with that talent, like that skills to make it work. So until I go to junior high school, I became the boys prefect in Azim because when you look at me, I'm quite calm. And then the way I approach things, the only bad thing about me was fighting. If somebody gets like into trouble, I would just go and take the fight and fight for the person. Because I felt like I am strong and I always hate people being bullied. And I always want to make things work. So as for that fighting skills, as in they know that I have that record there. In senior high school, before I completed junior high school, I knew the family I was coming from. And then there are things I have to put in place in order for me to be able to continue my senior high school. Because I knew my dad alone cannot afford my entrance, fees, and all those things. So immediately I completed junior high school, I decided to enter into construction. Because I looked at myself, the thing that I can do best, my ability, because I know I can't carry things on my head and go and sell and all those things. I look at what I can do and the strength that I have. I decided that I will enter into construction. I will use that strength that I was fighting people with to go and do construction. So I joined construction in Takrady, Asante Construction, and I was making some money out from there. So before my results came, I had already made some money to support my dad to be able to take me to senior high school. That's Adiamra Senior High School. I had one thing in mind. My family. I have to do something. I have to get to a level that I can change things about my family. I really wanted to make it. That is one thing in mind. From the early stage, all my focus is to make it in life. I knew I don't have the strength to go doing bad things, but I have the skills and the mind to make it. So I didn't feel bad trying to continue school. I didn't make money lead me, but education. And it's always my dad and my mom will always, as for them, they will always advise you, school is the best. Because as example is my mom, she wasn't really educated. So that was what really affected most of making my dad the only breadwinner of the family. And then sake of that, they will always push you up to be who they want you to be. So they were not joking with education at all. Their mind was all about education. Whether you want to go or you don't want to go, they will force you to go. I'll go for classes, and when I close, most of the times at first, they normally do night constructions. They do day shift and they do night shift. And night shift, they normally close around 10, 11. So I spoke to the foreman over there that this is what I'm going through. So I understood all the things that I wanted to do. So most of the times he would let me close early. And even though the money wasn't enough, but it was really helping out. So when I close from school, then I'll go and do this construction. I close. And most of the times we are into block molding. So the number of bags, if you're able to do it faster, then you can go home. If you decide to mold maybe 5 bags, 4 bags a day, then you're done. You can go home. And as the faster you do it, the more you are okay to go. And that was how I was blending. Even though by the time I'll get home, I'll be very tired to study. But that didn't affect my education. Because no matter what, I knew education is the best way for me to move forward. Even though maybe I wanted to be build businesses or whatsoever, but I know education will be a level for me to get to a different stage. There was this godmother I got, a godmother and a godfather I got in school, Dennis Alija, and then the senior, the headmaster of Adiamra Senior High School, Mr. Charles Chechi. They were my topmost mentors, and then they kept encouraging me. Sometimes things will become very difficult, and they will give me some small money. Solomon, just buy this food. Mr. Techu will eat and leave some of the food for me to come and eat. And then he never minds. He's okay. And I know sometimes when you go for the food, your friends will just be looking at you. Oh, this one, they have a way that they say it's Odin Kasi, which I wasn't bothered with that. All I was thinking is for me to complete school and then get to a level I want to be. Those teasing and all those kind of things that people were telling me never moved me. I was much focused on what I want to achieve in life. And then, so they kept motivating me, supporting me. Sometimes if I have difficulties, any problem, at the end of the week, Madam Alija will just gather some groceries, foodstuffs, gari, and all those things and give it to you. Solomon, take it home and go and eat. And that really kept me moving and moving forward. So when I completed junior high school and I was doing construction, the money I got, I saved some because I wasn't spending on anything. Because at that time, there was one food that we normally like best. We call it kanzu. That is that black thing, like when you cook rice, the hard parts. When you go and buy it, you get plenty, and that will fill your stomach. That's what I was concerned about, my stomach getting full. I wasn't caring about how delicious the food is, no, but getting my tummy full at that point. So most of my money I was saving it, and then when I helped my dad to pay my senior high school, the rest of the money I decided to use it for something better, something that would change my life. I thought of a lot of things, but the best one that I chose was to enter into driving. So I decided to go to a driving school, and then I went to this unique driving academy in Takoradi. I wasn't having all the money they were charging in bulk. So I spoke to the one in charge over there, decided to pay some of it. They agreed. In Ghana here, we have a limit for driving before you can get a license, but I wasn't ready to listen to that. My mind was all about getting my driving license so that I can drive and I won't have any issue with. So when I paid part of the driving fees, I know I'll go for classes, and then when I close, I'll go back to construction. So I was making money out of it, and I was trying to pay the money. It was just, I think the level that time you can go for 6 months, 4 months, but because I'm a fast learner, I decided to go for 3 weeks driving. And then truly I came out very successful, and I got my driving license, and I was free to go. So when my godmother realized that I have a driving license, she was having a taxi. So she gave it to me. So after school, I'll just drive around, be picking passengers, and then I was making some money out of it. But she was also keeping some of the money for me, so that she knew after school. And there are some instances that I have to buy books and all those kind of things. And she was always supporting throughout. So that's what kept me moving. And while I was schooling, I was combining construction and also driving. But I moved from construction, and then I became a driver, a taxi driver. You know how the school people sometimes, they call me taxi. They call me taxi. Then it was very, very, but it didn't change how I was, and it didn't make any difference in my life. I didn't care about any names people were calling me. All I was concentrating on was how to get to that level that I wanted to be. When I went to university, I was still doing my taxi job as usual. I moved from Takoradi to Cape Coast, and I completed UCC, and then I was just doing my taxi job, and one day I picked a certain man who I didn't know he was even a chief in Chief of Praso. So he took me around. We did a lot of rounds, and then he asked me a lot of questions. Then he found out I was a student, and I was doing taxi at the same time, trying to fend for myself. And then one day I sat down and I decided I have to do something. The money that I was making, even though I was using some to pay my fees and all those kind of things, but I have to try and do something that will give me extra income. And then, so I called him one day and I asked him if he can get me a piece of land that I can start something with, because I wanted to do farming. And then he gave me a piece of land, even though it wasn't, I think it was a half plot. Then I built a small cabin, a wooden cabin. So I decided the best way for me to get more money out of, I wasn't ready to plant crops and all those things, because I wanted money faster to help me to pay my school fees, because most of the money was what I was using to build this land. So I thought of pig farm. So I bought one male and then one female so that they can breed faster for me. And you know how pigs. So in no time, I got a lot of pigs that the guy who was taking care of it for me was selling. I mean, he was very honest, because even if you want to kill some, he would tell me before he would do it. He was very honest, and he would sell some and then send the money to me. So I started making more money out from the pigs, because at the end of every week, when I'm free and I'm doing my taxi work, then I'll just go to places that they sell they buy pigs, like a pork joint or restaurants and all those people. I'll tell them I have pigs, very affordable, very cheap. And then they'll buy them. They kept buying and the money kept coming. That was what I was pushing through. So after my university, I went back to Takoradi. Then when I went back to Takoradi, I went to my former company where I was doing driving. We were building a hotel, that's Palms by Eagles in Takoradi. So I went there. I wanted to go and look for employment with my certificate. But that time, my certificate wasn't ready. So the man, Mr. Asante, he told me, Solomon, I think for now I can employ you as a driver. I wasn't happy with it. A graduate, the way I've suffered to get to this level, and I'm coming back to driving again. But it didn't move me. I decided that you have to get to a stage before you can get to the other. So I started as a driver in a Asante company until my certificate came out, and I took the certificate to him that, oh, I have a certificate in computer science, first class degree. And then he was very shocked, like, you are very brilliant like this. How did you blend construction and all those things? But he decided to employ me as an IT guy for his company. I worked for a while, and Takoradi wasn't okay for me. I decided to move to a different place. I thought of it. Accra is a big city full of opportunities. When I move from Takoradi and I come here, I know definitely I can get a bigger company that will pay me more. I told this man I'm resigning, and he says, no, you can't. I'm not going to grant you this. But because I've already made up my mind, I went to work one day. I told the general manager that I'm not coming to work again. He says, no, that's never true. You're going to increase my salary, but I've already made up my mind. I'm somebody, when I make up my mind to do this, nothing will stop me. So I went to work. The next day, I didn't come to work. I switched off my phone. They were calling, and then I packed all my things and moved to Accra. I didn't know anyone in Accra. So I moved in alone. The little money I was having, I rented a room in Dansuman. Yeah. It was a very bad, I think the place wasn't all that good. That's Dansuman, Griffey, that area. Because you see a lot of weed smokers over there. But I wasn't because I wasn't there for them. So all my mind was to do something for myself. I'm not saying Dansuman is a bad area. It's a very beautiful place. Just that where I was staying, it was full of some weed smokers and all those people. That's why I'm saying that. But it's a cool place. Dansuman is a very beautiful place. That people love that place there. So when I came back, I heard that boots, and that was the first time that Uber was the first thing that came into the system, and then Uber was the first thing that came into the system. So I thought of, okay, my certificate is there. I sent a lot of CVs out looking for a job to do, but all of them, you go for interview, they will ask you how much do you want to be paid, and then after that, you wait away, they won't call you. Because they thought maybe you're holding first class. Most of the companies want experience. But I was a fresh graduate. Even though I went at Palms, but I didn't really get a lot of experience from there. So I decided to do something, and I decided to enter into boats. There was one company that bought a lot of cars that you can go in for a car, you work and you bring them the money, and then they will pay you on commission. That was the first step I took. I went there, I started driving boats. Day in and day out, I keep searching for companies on net because I wasn't thinking of going to companies and all those things. So the best way for me to get access to job opportunities was internet. Facebook, at that time, Facebook was the best way to get. And then there was one platform, another platform I will remember it and say. So I heard of this company and I went there. They tested my driving skills and they gave me a car to drive. But the money I was making out of there, at the end of it, they would take everything. I wasn't making a lot. But I was having some money saved. And that money I was making, after buying my food, I wasn't sending anything home, though, because they understand what I was going through. So I added some money up and I got this car, Matters, a small Matters, even though the money wasn't up to for me to buy that car. So I went to do a deposit and I told the man that I'm going to pay the rest as I work. So that was the first car I bought and I started doing Uber for myself. I was driving. I don't sleep. I wake up. I would just sleep for 2 hours and then get on the road again. When I feel tired, I'll park by the roadside and sleep. And then I'll continue. If I get to a place that I think maybe I can take a shower, especially those golf police stations, they have shower for their workers. That's where I normally take my shower. I have my sponge and everything in my boots. So I was working and I was making, at that time, a lot of people were not doing boats at that time. So the money was coming and coming and coming. I was able to save more. But when I went for a while, I decided to do another thing. I didn't want to be a boat driver throughout. So I had another company employing people. That was Avis Rent a Car. So I applied for a position as a driver. First of all, I applied for a position as an IT. But the HR at that time, he looked at my CV and everything. And it was like, you are very good. At this point, we are not hiring a IT manager now. The position that is available is a driver. Because I can see you did a lot of driving here and there. I said, no, I won't trade my certificate for that. No. So I left. He called me that evening and he said, oh, you are very good. I'm still looking at I took your CV home and I'm looking at it. You are very good. And I know if you start as a driver to get to a point that the company will employ you, I will make sure they will employ you as an IT manager. I said, okay, then I'll start with it. Even though I wasn't okay with that decision, but what will I do? I have to push it. So I started as a driver, driving up, and that was the first place they took me to was Lambadi Beach Hotel. I was driving for them, and then they took me to Marriott. And I was making money while I gave my car to a driver to work and then give me money. So while the money was coming from boats, I was also earning salary at the end of the month. The HR left there, and then a new manager came. I was like, this one day, I'm going to stop this work because the one who gave me hope to come and drive is now not working for the company again. So I think one day, the new manager was going through the documents and realized she saw my CV and he called me to come to the office. And then they employed me as a fleet manager, blend with the IT. So that is where the success started flowing. The money from boats was coming and my salary also went up. But all the money I was making, I wanted to use it for something else. I didn't want to spend it going out, having fun, because sometimes friends will lead you to go and do some things. But if you are focused and you know what to do, you will never let that influence you. So my mind was all about trying to make something, trying to do new things. So while I was there, one day a friend of mine took me to a mining site in Kumasi. And then when I got there, the first thing I realized was there's a lot of opportunities over here. And I have to grab one of them. Because I realized the land, Ghana, all our land, most of our land is full of gold. But the means people were using to extract them, they were getting few out of it. And the rest were all going waste. Because you will find out one land, they will keep working on it. And I thought of it. I think this one, I have to make good use of it. I have to try and increase something, invent something that will bring out something. So I decided to resign from Avis. That time, I was providing a lot of service to Avis. Most of their softwares and everything. I was the one who was having the calls, and I know how to do most of the things. So I told them I want to resign. And the CEO says, no, you can't resign, because whatever you want, we are going to give it to you. If you want salary increment, we'll give it to you. I said, okay. So we went on it. But my mind, as I told you earlier, if I decide to do something, nothing will change my mind. So one day I left. I told them, I lied to them that I was traveling to see my dad. And I went to this village. I looked at everything. I explored everything that was there, trying to strategize everything that I was going to do. And then I came back to work. I completed the end of the month because I was afraid when I told them I'm leaving the job, like I wasn't going to listen to whatever they're going to say. They will not give me my salary. So I got the salary because all the plans that I did, that salary was part of it. If I lose that money, it's going to affect me. So when I went to the village, I wasn't thinking of doing illegal mining. I was thinking of doing something legal because I realized everything is possible. Immediately your mind comes on, you can make it work. So that was the main reason why I went there. I wanted to find ways and means to make it legal, because this Galamsey things, I wasn't ready for this soldier and police issues and all those things. So the land that I got, I realized that it belongs to a mining company. So the best option is to go and look for them, talk to them. And I realized it was a prospecting land, so they can give part of the land for you for commission. So I went to see them and then I spoke to them. It was very difficult to get them though, but because I was ready for it, I went for it. I met them and then they were able to sign a contract. They released part of the land to me. Then we went to Minerals Commission, registered everything, and then I started mining. Even getting the machines wasn't easy, but there are always ways that God normally helps people to come into you. If immediately you decide to do it, you can do it. God will direct people to come and help you to do it. And I was able to get all the machines to start my mining, and that is where the money started coming from. So if you listen to my story, I was saving. The little money that I get, I always put it to very good use. I make sure I save everything. I don't spend it on things. If you really want to be successful, if you really want to own businesses, then the first thing you have to do is to save. And immediately you start saving, you put it into very good use. You don't use it for things that's not resourceful. So most of the things that you can do when you save those money, you can invest them, you can do fixed deposits, and sometimes you can start business. Something small. People think starting a business, you need to get huge amounts of money. No. If you listen to my story, most of them, I wasn't having the money to start. The little that I had, I would move it forward. I will give it to them. And then as time goes on, the money will come by itself. The profit you are making out of it, you will make it. And all those profit I was making out of what I was doing, I wasn't spending them. And that is saving. You don't have to eat your profits. Make sure that profit, you keep it. And then you use it for something that will also generate income for you. As far as you are generating income, and then you get to a level that you feel you are settled, all the income that you're getting, then you get to a level that the income you're getting is okay for you. That is when you can start spending. But for now, you don't have to spend all your savings, or you don't have to spend the profits you're making out from the small business that you have. As I said again, if you want to start a business, you don't have to start with big money. You can start from the scratch and then you get to the level. If you want to climb a ladder, you start from the bottom. The first step is what will get you to your destination. If you make a step, then the rest will follow. Before you realize, you've gotten to the level. Climbing the ladder wasn't easy for me, but now I've gotten to a level that with that hard work I'm now reaping from it. And that is what every business person or entrepreneur, if you're a young person and you're starting something, make your mind that this is what I want to start. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to get to. And immediately you put that, you definitely get there. Take a step and you'll get there. And when you involve God into your things, you also help you to get ideas, the wisdom that God gave it to Solomon, you also get it and you push forward. And that wisdom is what I've gotten that I'm doing that. I've gotten to this level that I am.